So my name is Hans-Martin Buff. I have been a recording engineer and music producer for a long time. I started in the early 90s in America, where I lived at the time. I was very lucky to have a good project as an assistant at a big studio called Pachyderm right away. I then worked for a fellow named Prince for a long time. So I worked at his studio first as one of many and then by myself. Did all his things for about 4 years in the late 90s. After a brief stint in honest work, which I didn't like very much, honest work being TV stuff and commercials, I moved to Europe. I've been working with the Scorpions for 15 years. The last album I even got to produce. And I just finished Peter Gabriel's recent album as the Atmos mixer. The so-called inside mix is what I've done. So MSM Studios was founded a very long time ago in Munich. It stands for actually Mastering Studio Munich by Stefan Bock. And I joined the company officially last summer. And Stefan had the very good idea to build a branch in Berlin, where we are right now, in order for creative people to embrace immersive music. They have to hear it in a situation like this. And we found out how hard it is to get people into the studio if it's not in Berlin. And we built this wonderful place, which is basically a 9.1.4 room full of speakers and a bunch of smaller places that are small, will be small studios, our offices, places to meet, places to have events for people that want to play immersive music. And after Stefan scouted the city for the perfect location, I think we found it now here in the district of Kreuzberg. See, my main mantra when it comes to 3D audio is that there has to be music for it. So if young creative people, they don't have to be young, but it's usually the young that pick it up. All these worlds you can create that have nothing to do with stereo and change their thinking about it all. And then if the result appeals to the listeners, then it's here to stay. Immersive as a technology is certainly here to stay because it works perfectly with anything visual. So if you go to the movies, what's not to like? If you go to an event, what's not to like? I do believe that what's still missing is stuff like clubs. I have no clue why they haven't picked up on this yet, because that would be just, I mean, if you go to a Berlin club and you have an immersive club track, I can't think of a better experience when you go out on a weekend. But for music itself, it really depends on the content. So if the content is created, I'm sure it'll stay. If it's just a reimagination of stereo, people at some point will think, what's the point? When I first got the MT48, I thought, well, I like the look of it. I do like, personally, that metal-y vibe. But I wasn't so sure if it was worth it for me. And then a friend of mine, actually, who had unpacked, I think, the same week as I did, recorded the same thing twice through a variety of interfaces and just sent me the audio files. And I didn't even think, oh, I didn't think of that, right? And he said, which ones do you like best? And I said that one and that one. It was clear as day for me. And they were both the MT48 recordings. So I love the pre's, and I think that's a game changer. If you want to look under the hood and have a center of your studio that does a lot of things for you, this thing's perfect, absolutely. And like I said, whenever I thought, oh, it can't do that, it could. The difference is the reliability. That's really what it is. So what I can do is I can easily assign a speaker setup in a binaural setup, a headphone setup. I can lock the volume of both or one of them, which is actually a big deal. Because what's happening, so the setup is I'm going from my laptop into the MT48, then I'm going into the interfaces, and the interfaces go into a monitor system, which is called a turn-off. And the turn-off is this thing where I turn things up and down. So I have a solidly locked level coming out of the MT48. And then on the other hand, on the headphone end, I come straight out of the MT48. So I just switch over to a headphone thing, which replace the binauralization coming out of the Dolby renderer, and I can still work the volume and do things, which is really great. What I haven't done yet too much is to record at the same time, but I'm about to explore that. So for example, if I'm not mixing, but I'm working on an immersive arrangement, I'm not a musician, so I don't communicate with an instrument, through an instrument. I communicate by singing. That's what I can do. So if I have a musical idea, I usually have a mic there and I just record it quickly so I don't forget it. And so to have something where I play a multi-channel output and then I put still a mic in and use that great pre that's in the MT48, that'll be the next step. One of the bigger problems when you do immersive is that, oddly enough, is to make things louder and quieter. So many channels at the same time. So to have a solid monitoring option is a big bit of a workflow. And in most places where you go, you have to connect your device, you have to set up a signal flow, which then goes into a device that you can make louder and quieter. So with the MT48, we just go around all that. We set that up once, and whoever comes in here with whatever software they use, they can just plug in, they don't even have to download a driver, and off they go. It doesn't get any better than that. Those headphones are very, very nice. What I really like about them is that they have just the right amount of openness for immersive to work. So if you have headphones that are really, really closed, it doesn't work that well for the headphone 3D music. And I love the low end. It just really, really sounds good. I use competition as well, but I don't use them that much anymore. I schlepp the NH30s with me wherever I roam. They're on my Brexit carnet, so there you have it. I mean, what I'm after right now is producing for immersive, because like we said earlier, if there's music made for it, we'll see how long people will take to it. Rightfully so, I might add. What's the point of having a 2-bedroom apartment and then taking the furniture into a house and just looking around kind of like, well, it doesn't look as cozy as before. It's just the same shit in a different place. So make something new. So I'm working quite hard on how to be able to have a multi-channel setup that I can listen to on speakers and a monitoring setup that is binauralized for the people that are playing, so we can put on headphones and they're still in that room. And being able to route that's kind of what I'm after right now. I'm in a wonderful position, I get to do stuff for people I admire in the way I want to do them, because they say, well, we like what you do, just do what you have to do. And that's how I got into this business. I wanted to make great music with people I think are great. And it's worked out just fine every day.